Go.
Okay, Eric, here recapping again. This is, I have two children, 5 and 2 at the time when this first started 5 years ago. My ex-wife with separation anxiety and other problems, I fully believe she's a sociopath, was doing everything in her effort to keep my children from me, no matter what it took. And her father, who was very wealthy, was financing the whole procedure. Keep going. Okay. It started off, I had visits with my girls. They called it Daddy Day when my girls were 5 and 2. My ex-wife made claims to the ministry that somebody on a Daddy Day, a child, maybe 10, 11, 12, or 13, a younger boy had touched my older child inappropriately. The ministry told her that, and she wanted the girls taken away from me for this fact, that I couldn't properly care for them because I'm in a wheelchair, which wasn't the case. So that's why she started with these other allegations. They told her those allegations were not enough to take the children away from me. You know, they couldn't be proven, and if a child did accidentally touch a child, well, the children. So her next step, so the ministry gave her information about how the procedures went. She came back the next time saying a man on the Daddy Day that I apparently knew had touched my older child inappropriately. So the story has changed. It's gone from a child touched her inappropriately to an adult that I knew had touched her inappropriately. And once again, the ministry told her this was not good enough. They could not take the children from me on these premises. There wasn't enough. They couldn't prove anything. So she went away again, did her research, and I know that she is now talking to my eldest child, telling her to say things that aren't true in order to take them away from me. Eventually, after a year of this, my older child told a teacher at her school that I, as her father, had touched her inappropriately on a Daddy Day. So the teachers, of course, called the ministry, and the ministry get involved, and they didn't tell me about this. I knew none of these allegations were on the way, and they were happening, until I got a letter saying they needed to speak to me. So I came in and I talked to the ministry many times over the phone, and then we did meet in person. And they wanted to hear my side of the story, and of course I refuted all these allegations. It never happened, but she kept claiming that they did happen. My ex-wife had taken my child to family doctors, to counselors without my knowledge, and got reports made, and her father's, of course, paying for all this. And there's a Supreme Court case. We've been through provincial court many times, and the Supreme Court was also on the way, and we were waiting for that. They were appealing all decisions, so he wanted me to have no access to my children.
Yeah, especially well.
So the ministry was investigating, and her father was not happy with how long it was taking. He said he wanted me in jail, and unless I was in jail, he was going to sue the ministry, which he did. He got another lawyer to make a court case against the ministry for failure to do their job properly. In the meantime, I'm talking with the ministry and gathering information and witnesses that I could have, that I brought with me. I had a girlfriend that came with me all the time to be on my side, let's say, to claim that she was there. She saw what happened. None of this ever happened. In the meantime, my ex-wife is doing everything she can, to make false allegations to have this happen. So finally, the ministry, after many reports, said that I should be not allowed to see my children until the Supreme Court hearing, which was approximately 6 months away at that time. So they took my children away until the hearing was held because of the allegations that she made, which they gave her the information to do. So I didn't see my girls for 2 years because of this. We went to Supreme Court, I won in Supreme Court, and the judge granted me joint custody, joint guardianship with generous access, which she then appealed, of course, and as soon as you appeal, it makes it go longer, and the ministry said that I should not be able to see them until the appeal was heard. So then the appeal was heard, and the judge said for my best interest, I should have a supervisor there just to protect myself so that everybody could be happy, and if she made allegations, there'd be somebody there to prove her case. She then would not agree to any of my supervisors. She would only agree to supervisors of her own. And my lawyer advised me if I wanted to see my girls anytime soon, I would have to agree to one of her supervisors, which I did, just because I wanted to see my children. And then it took just over 2 years before I got to see them again. And from 2 girls that went from 2 and 5, they're now 7 and 4. It changed a bit. I missed so much time with those girls. It was very, very hard thing to go through. And the ministry was helping them, whether they felt threatened because of the lawsuit and the money that her father had. I don't know. I think their view on fathers as, in custody cases at least, as fathers as being parents is archaic. They're biased towards women. Women are the better parent, which is not true. In a lot of cases, the man is the better parent, but it's not always true either. In this case, it was, but they didn't want to hear that. They were just concerned with keeping those girls with their mother, who doesn't work, has all her father's money, and puts all her time into that. The RCMP got involved, of course, because now it's an assault case. They asked me if I would do a voluntary polygraph test, which I did. I said, anything it takes, I will do. I took the test, and that's not a fun thing to go through. It's very disturbing. I passed that, of course. So then her father decided that he would file a lawsuit against the RCMP because they're not doing their job. So in the meantime, I'm seeing the girls. I have a court-ordered supervisor who was picked by my ex-wife. So she was biased in the first place.
How did the ministry allow the court-ordered supervisor to be picked by the wife? Isn't this their job?
The ministry's job?
Yes.
It was court-ordered that a supervisor be picked that was agreeable by both parties.
Okay.
So I came up with 3, and she came up with 3.
Okay.
And she didn't agree to any of mine, of course, so it had to be agreed upon. And my lawyer advised me, she said, well, if you want to see your children anytime soon, she's just never going to agree to yours. You will have to agree to one of hers and hope for the best.
Okay.
So I did agree to one of hers, and I brought my girlfriend at the time along just as another witness
Yes.
what was going on. So I got to see the girls, but this court-ordered supervisor, a friend of hers, wasn't the greatest scenario to be in, but I did get to see the girls.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just on one note, my eldest daughter at the time told us at breakfast that she had thrown up in her room and that she had also peed in her room, and I asked her, of course, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you go to the bathroom? And she said, because the door's locked. And I said, from the outside? She said, yes, Mommy locks the door from the outside. Immediately I'm thinking, well, there's a fire regulation, that's just not safe. She doesn't, and I said, well, why would she do that? She doesn't want me to get up and eat in the middle of the night or do anything. I said, well, that's not right. So I, after the visit, called the ministry with my concerns that this was unsafe, and I asked them to go to her house and see if there were deadbolts or locks on the outside of the doors. And I said, please don't contact the supervisor or her, just go. Well, they didn't do that. They called the supervisor first, and she said she didn't hear it. And I had it on tape, of course, because I was taping my visits just because I knew something was going to happen. And then they called my ex-wife and asked her, told them what I'd said, and that they were going to come by. So of course they come by days later, and there's no locks. They've been removed. So in effect, they're helping her, whether it's because of the court cases that her father had started against the ministry because I wasn't in jail, I don't know, or because they're biased in custody cases, at least towards the women, because they're better parents, which is untrue.
Do you think that perhaps in a lot of these cases, the ministry tends to side with the traditional idea that women are better parents than men?
Well, of course. I think it's almost like a scapegoat. It's easier for them. The courts also believe women are the better parents still, which is untrue. So if they agree with that, the courts are going to agree with them. It's just easier. It's easy. It's an easier job for them if they just go that route.
And also in your case with your disability, do you think that made a deciding factor for the ministry as well?
Well, that was her first claim with them, was because I was disabled, I couldn't properly care for the children when I had them.
Yes.
Had to have a supervisor, I shouldn't have them at all. And I could prove that, obviously, so that didn't go anywhere, and that's where it escalated.
And then on top of that, you also had your girlfriend.
Right.
Which was, I don't know if I should say this, which was living with you, correct?
Right, at the time. Yep. Right, and she had children, so, you know, she was a parent herself. You know, I have a child from another marriage before that, so I'd been a father before. I knew what I was doing. But yeah, it was, I don't think that was a deciding factor for them. She tried to use it and it didn't go anywhere. She tried it with the courts, that didn't go anywhere. But there is a definite archaic thinking with the ministry and a bias towards women in that matter.
And in your ministry proceedings, were you solely only just dealing with a lady supervisor, a female supervisor or worker?
Oh, and with the
Social
ministry?
worker, yes.
Yes, originally they're all women. I've never seen a man there ever when I've gone in. Even the receptionists are all women. It's populated by women. Yeah, and there was one woman, and she listened to me. Actually, she heard my story. I went in there. I had 40 hours of phone calls. I had pictures. I had everything, and you know, she was seeing that there was something different to the story, and she was mysteriously transferred somewhere up north. And a new worker came on, brand new out of the academy, and I'm sure that when they do their training, they show past case files, histories, and it's always the man, always the man. So they come in with a predisposition, it's the man, and they don't want to hear anything else. That's the easy way out. So she, you know, as soon as she came on board, it was get the man, get me. There's nothing I could say that was going to change her mind.
Yes, you were the man.
Yeah, and she immediately, within a month of reading over 3,000 pages of this file, well, these children shouldn't be in his care ever, even with, you know, somebody there as supervisor. And I didn't see them for 2 years until the Supreme Court hearing, which they then appealed, and then we had to wait again, and then they tried to vary it, and then we had to wait again.
What was the distance in time for you getting into court with all of these different actions? I mean, it didn't by any means help you keep the bond of your children because it took so long to actually get before the court to either A, make a decision, or get a decision, or get an order granted, correct?
Right, oh yes. The provincial court's not too bad, especially we live in the Okanagan. It's not as busy as here, but still it takes months to get a court case. And then you can get to your court date and they can postpone it to another month because there's so many people there, so it can take a great long time. And they throw so much at it that the judge looks at it and says, this is going to take 2 days, not 20 minutes. I can't hear it now.